What's up guys, Asian here again with another video, and today we're going to be discussing the latest ESO news, the Summerset expansion. What we know, what we think we're going to know, and kind of what this means for the game, at least from a PvE standpoint. Again, I'm not really into PvP so much, I'm starting to learn, but it's quite a steep learning curve for PvP actually, much more than I thought it would be. And this is going to be really restricted to a PvE standpoint, or towards the like end game vet trials kind of content, and maybe a little bit of like vet 4-man, and kind of also I'll touch upon what these speculated changes might mean for the more average player. You know, the player that's not necessarily going for the vet trials. You know, who might be doing the some of the vet non-DLC dungeons, for instance, or something like that. So first off, what we do know, this is the actual announcement from the page itself. So we do know that it's going to be released on PC and Mac on May 21st, and then the consoles are going to have a June 5th launch date. The delay in the console launch date compared to the PC launch date is because of the patch verification process that Microsoft and Sony both have, so that's why you have a 2-week delay here between PC and Xbox One and PlayStation. Generally speaking, there's no way around it. There's no way for them to basically push a PC release and a console release on the same day, generally because you have to submit their patch depending on the verification process itself. I think it's anywhere from like 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time, so that's why we have that delay here. But for console players, don't worry too much, because by the time that that patch is pushed through, they should have a good idea of what is wrong with the initial patch, so they'll be able to push out the, get the next patch out sooner in order to fix whatever was broken when the PC launch. So that's something that is kind of a silver lining there for the delay for PC users here. So besides the release date, we obviously know where it's going to be. It's going to be on Summerset Isle. They talked about also we'll be able to see Artaeum as well, the home of the Psijic Order. So this is the cinematic teaser trailer. We won't be going over that. You guys can find that on the ESO news page, or you can find it on YouTube somewhere, I'm sure. And so this is what basically they've told us so far on the release video and through the live stream that they used to announce the Summerset expansion. So as we said, it's a whole new zone, Summerset Isle, that also includes Artaeum. There's a new, obviously, storyline associated with Summerset Isle, and they say this is going to be the continuation of the Daedric Prince storyline that started way back in Orsinium in 2015. So it's just going to keep on going through. So it started off kind of in the base game through Orsinium, continued on through the Morrowind expansion, and then through Clockwork City, which is a continuation of the Morrowind, and now Summerset Isles kind of continues on the how the story ended in Clockwork City. So that's what you can expect to see from the main storyline. We do know, based on story teasers and from Clockwork City, as well as the live stream, that Mythala is going to play a very big role in this storyline. So we might be able to see the Spiral Skein as well, which is Mythala's own plane of Oblivion. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So they are releasing a new Psijic Order skill line. It's not certain right now whether it's going to be locked behind the Summerset expansion, like the Wardens are, or like the Thieves Guild or Dark Brotherhood skill lines. There's a very good possibility that it is locked behind the Summerset expansion, but there's also the possibility that it is just a base game expansion as well. Just from reading this, though, it does seem like that it is going to be Summerset Isle exclusive, so it will be very similar to the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood line. Now, unlike the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood line, what we do know is that the Psijic Order skill tree it's more of a world class line, so it's much more similar to Mage's Guild and Fighter's Guild in terms of the abilities that you can use compared to Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood. So you have 5 active abilities, you have an ultimate, and you have 5 passives as well. We don't know how you're going to be leveling that yet. So that's kind of up in the air. We're not 100% sure yet. It could be you might be doing something like daily quests or something like that, or you advance it much like Dark Brotherhood or Thieves Guild, you do repeatable quests or something like that. We don't know. So that's kind of up in the air right now. So that is pretty exciting, and it's going to have some pretty cool changes, I think, to PvE and definitely for PvP as well. They've already talked about a couple of the skills. A couple of skills we do know their names and kind of what their generic abilities, the effect is going to be. So we'll touch upon that in a little bit there. There is a new Jewelrycrafting skill line out, and they pretty much said this is going to be pretty much one-to-one with current skill crafting line. So there is going to be a level up process there. Again, don't know if this is going to be locked behind Summerset expansion or if it's going to be a base game expansion. Hopefully it is a base game expansion, but again, we won't really have any idea until we get more info out. So Jewelrycrafting, along with the Jewelrycrafting, they're also introducing new stuff. So basically, they've pretty much confirmed that you'll be able to craft jewelry in the craftable sets in the live stream. I think they use like Hunding's Rage or something like that as an example. So clearly you'll be able to craft the jewelry for the crafted sets, which opens up a lot of build possibilities. So you can now run 2 crafted sets, so which is just really great for beginners, because now you can do something like, for Magic DPS, do something like Julianos and Acuity or Julianos and Seducers. That just opens up a whole new slew of build potential for a lot of players here. They also said that they're going to introduce 6 new traits as well, and Rich Lambert mentioned one of them, which is Bloodthirsty, which increases the damage done to enemies below a certain health threshold. Those new traits will replace the current 3 traits, Arcane, Healthy, and Robust, so you are trading off max resources in return for those special trait effects. So it's gonna be we're gonna have to wait and see whether or not they will kind of change the meta for PvE and PvP. So that Bloodthirsty trait that I was talking about, it seems very powerful for PvP, for Mage's Wrath or something like that to execute, but we're not 100% certain for PvE whether that's going to replace something like Arcane or Robust, because you are losing out on almost 2.7k resources, which is a pretty big amount of resources to lose. So that's going to end up dropping your damage overall, because remember that 10.5 ratio of max magic and max stamina to tooltip damage. So we're not 100% sure how it's going to play out. We will have to do a lot of testing on the PTS. So a little bit more on the PTS later, because there might be a snag there for PTS for those people who really want to get involved in the Summerset Isle PTS. There is going to be a new trial here. It's called Cloud Rest. Not much is known about it for right now. All we know is that it is the home of the Griffin Riders, so we'll probably see something involving the Griffin Riders or something else, something like, because they disappeared, and so now I think we might be investigating. So we'll see what kind of trial it's going to be. We don't have any idea what the bosses are. They haven't talked about the mechanics at all. The only thing we know right now about the trial is that it is called Cloud Rest, and it's centered around the Griffin Riders. And then there's group PvE challenges, which probably is just talking about like group bosses, group dungeons, things like that. And obviously and more. That's just kind of what it is. So there is a gameplay announcement trailer. There's not too much there. It's pretty. It's only 2 minutes, so it's doesn't really showcase that much. It's just basically gameplay footage of in-game stuff, so it's not like a cinematic or anything. The only combat they show is pretty generic, combat PvE, not necessarily new trial. We don't know where this is from actually. Looks like just from the trailer there are going to be new monsters. You will have to fight a griffin. I don't know if that's a world boss or whatever, but it should be pretty interesting to see the new PvE challenges out there. You can pre-purchase Summerset now, at least for PC. I believe they're working on console pre-order purchases, so you do receive some extra stuff. So you do get a new mount, and you get Morrowind is also included if you don't have Morrowind if you pre-order Summerset. So we can go check that out there. There is a collector's edition which gives you more stuff like crates and treasure chests and all that other kind of stuff. And they did release a prologue quest, so you can just pick it up on the Crown Store, and you can just do that quest, and it's basically like an intro quest, so you get a little bit of a teaser of what to expect in Summerset Isle. So that's pretty much it. That's what we see from the official stuff, from the news page. And now let's talk about stuff that isn't necessarily on this page that you might not necessarily know. So first, let's talk about the PTS. So we do know that it's going to be released on May 21st for PC. So generally speaking, I believe Morrowind had a 6-week PTS period. So if we're looking at that same level of PTS testing, 6 weeks, 6 or 5 weeks, we can expect the PTS to open on the 2nd or 3rd week of April. Or rather, 1st or 2nd week of April, I should say. That being said, though, Morrowind did have a closed PTS period. So basically, you had to have an invite to the PTS in order to test out the Morrowind content before they released Morrowind. Now, how they select players to get involved in the Morrowind patch PTS was kind of hidden a little bit. It wasn't completely opaque, but there wasn't also very transparent either. Generally speaking, if you have been testing on the PTS, if you have the PTS installed, if you've been involved in the PTS testing and things like that, then you're more likely to get an invitation to test Summerset Isles on the PTS. So you will have to be a PC player. I don't believe they gave console players PTS access, so I think you do need to have a PC account. I could be wrong on that, though. I didn't participate in the Morrowind PTS because I wasn't quite at the end game and not quite as involved in the PTS back when Morrowind was released. So that's what you can expect for the PTS access. Now, another thing too is that the Morrowind PTS people who were invited to that PTS had to abide by a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. That basically says you're not going to share the content that you see on the PTS with any sort of outside publisher, like, I don't know, GameSpot or something like that. You won't communicate it with other players and things like that. Now, that being said, obviously there are going to be leaks, and so that's kind of to be expected, and of course people who are going to get involved in the PTS are obviously going to talk about it on their Discords and private channels and things like that, so it's not particularly enforceable in that regard. However, we won't be able to stream. Streamers won't necessarily be able to stream, and won't be able to take screenshots. All of those are going to be watermarked with your user ID and things like that, and they can't take action against you if you do leak stuff that way. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, back into Morrowind PTS, a couple of streamers and content creators did have an exception to the NDA, so they could release a little bit of content, not too much. We can probably expect to see the same sort of deal with Summerset, with people like, you know, Alcast or maybe Gilliam the Rogue having a little bit of leeway with the NDA. You know, you're able, you know, they might. ZOS might say, you guys can release, you know, a video showcasing the skills or something like that for the Psijic Order line or something, but, you know, it's going to be pretty limited in the amount of information that we can expect to see coming out of the Summerset PTS. So now that we've talked about the PTS and kind of how you can hopefully get involved in that, let's talk about what we know right now that's not on this page right here. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually the 3 skills that this is kind of small. See if we can zoom in a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. You can kind of read that, but I'll read it out for you. So these are actually the 3 skills that we currently know are in the Psijic skill line. So we definitely know for certain that these 3 skills are there. The names are not necessarily accurate yet. They might change. The effects might change as well, but for more or less, this is what we know so far. So basically the Psijic skill line, as described by Rich Lambert, one of the designers of the game, it's going to focus in around manipulation of time. So it's likely that all of the abilities and all the passives are going to be related to the manipulation of time. So this first ability here is Time Stop. So this is a active ability, so this is one of the 5 active abilities that you can use. Freeze the passage of time at a specific location. Should you catch an enemy within this ability, they'll be slowed and eventually frozen in place, giving you the opportunity to make your move. So this sounds like kind of like Fire Rune and Mage's Guild line, except instead of fire, it's going to be like a slow up to a freezing. Now we don't know if that freezing is going to be like CC breakable, so whether you'll be able to break free of the freeze using break free or something like that. So who knows? If it's not CC, like you can't CC break out of it, then it could be a pretty potent tool in PvP. But I'm not going to see this used too much in PvE. This is probably going to be in a lot of troll builds for PvP though. I can definitely see this being used in like Cyrodiil or BGs, but I'm not. Again, it's going to kind of depend on whether you can CC break out of the time stop. Meditate is another active skill that we know of. So focus your mind and body into a deep meditative state. While active, you will restore health, stamina, and magicka over time. Perfect for those who want to reflect upon and recover from a tough fight. So this sounds like it's going to be like, I don't know if, I don't know any skills from any MMOs. The closest one that I could think of is probably going to be from RuneScape, where they introduced something called resting, which basically improved the rate in which your stamina, your run energy regenerated. So this sounds something like that. So it sounds like it's a toggleable skill. I don't believe that's an actual word. So basically, what it sounds like is you can activate, meditate. I don't know if it's gonna be like a regen or if it'll be like you restore 2k whatever over each second as long as it's active. But we'll see about that. So this doesn't seem like it's going to be an active build. It's going to be toggleable, and from what it sounds like, it doesn't sound like you'll be able to actually do anything while you're in that meditative state. So this is probably going to be more used in PvP than PvE. I'm not sure where it stands. It sounds interesting, but I don't really see how it could be used. PvP, maybe after like a big fight, you can use it to get your resources back to get back against the Zerg, push your counterattack faster. For PvE, I can see it maybe being used maybe for speed runs, but I don't think so. So Undo. So this is confirmed to be the ultimate. Gina actually, whoops, that's a bit large. Gina actually confirmed that Undo is the ultimate for the Psijic Order line. Let's go back here and zoom back in. So, become a true master of time and step backwards into the past. To instantly reset your health, magicka, and stamina to what they were only 4 seconds ago. If the battle isn't going your way, reset the board. So this is the ultimate. We're not sure what the ultimate cost is going to be, but it will basically take a snapshot of what your resources were at 4 seconds before you activate the ultimate, and then basically give you that. Basically put you back in that snapshot. Now, Rich Lambert also mentioned your location, so you might be able to port back to where you were 4 seconds ago. So this definitely has a ton of potential use in PvP. I can see this being potentially broken out of the, like, I can see people completely abusing this in PvP depending on the ultimate cost itself. Like, if this costs like 150 ultimate, I can see this being abused pretty badly by like Sorks or something in PvP. But obviously for PvE, I don't think this is going to make anything in PvE, whether that's support or damage dealers. It's not. Undo doesn't really have a place there, I don't think, in PvE. This is definitely going to be more of a PvP troll ultimate, or I can probably see this being used pretty well, to sustain a Zerg rush or something like that. So that's kind of where it is with that. So that's pretty much it that we have confirmed so far. This is all the confirmed information. So we're going to wait and see what's going to happen over the next few weeks. Eventually the PTS is going to come out. Rich Lambert said April-ish, so again, by my estimations, it should be around between the 1st and 3rd week of April, basically, is when we should see the first PTS release of Summerset Isles, and then we can go see what's going to happen from there. So again, there's probably going to be an NDA. I'm almost 100% certain there will be an NDA, just like with the Morrowind PTS. So if I am chosen to, the beta test the Summerset Isles DLC, expansion I should say, I will probably not be able to release any videos concerning what I have found on the PTS. So I will definitely let you know if I am in the PTS, if I'm allowed to say that based on the NDA, terms of the NDA, but don't expect to see any videos on the PTS material of Summerset Isles if I am chosen to participate in that PTS cycle. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys found this informative. One thing to remember is that the Summerset Isles pack is an expansion pack, so it is identical to Morrowind. It is not a DLC, so ESO Plus members will still need to purchase the Summerset Isles from Steam, through Steam or their website or whatever have you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. The price right now, I believe, is $30, and you will get the Morrowind chapter as well. The collector's edition, at least the upgrade, is, I believe, $40. So, pick and choose whether we want to wait to see if there's more information before you purchase, or if you want to jump on the hype train now and purchase it now. But I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, so make that decision for yourself based on what you read and what you hear from other people. So that's it for this video. I will see you guys in the next dungeon.